Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. When we talk about robbery of the year contenders, I think sometimes the magnitude of the fight matters, or the magnitude of the fighter who got robbed or got the robbery. And for me, this fight fits that billing. Tank Davis, of course, one of the biggest names in the sport. In my opinion as well, one of the most protected guys in the sport of boxing. And today, we saw that protection in its most cynical and blatant form. Lamont Roach won this fight. He won it quite clearly, in my opinion. I don't really think there's much of a debate. Quite frankly, the fight was what it was. Lamont Roach, for me, displayed a better game plan. He displayed far better composure. In fact, that was the most impressive aspect of this performance for me, was the composure of Lamont Roach. When he did have a bad moment, or when he did lose a round, never fazed him. He was ice cold throughout this fight. Facial expression never changed. Never let any setback get to him. The composure of Lamont Roach was, and the discipline of Lamont Roach, for me, was very, very commendable. But he held his shape also better as this fight went into the second half. For me, he just bested Tank Davis. He outlanded him. He out-hustled him. At times, he outboxed him. For me, Lamont won this fight. First half of this fight was close. I felt the first couple of rounds were razor close. You know, we know Tank Davis fights. He likes to feel out early on, and he can lose early rounds. And in the first couple of rounds, you know, they were nip and tuck, you know. First round, for me, was super even. I felt Roach, his output was a little higher, and he may have landed a couple more punches. However, I think Tank in round one did land the harder punches, and when there's that little difference in punches landed, I think you can go either way, quite frankly, whether you preferred the harder shots of Tank or Roach's work. But it was a feel-out round. Round two, I felt Roach won, just again primarily throwing straight punches, kind of out-hustling Tank. Tank was kind of moving laterally, not really throwing much. I felt round two was a Tank round. A Roach round. Round three was pretty close from what I remember. Again, a bit of another feel-out round with a little more action. Both guys had a couple of moments on the inside, uppercuts and hooks. Again, the punches landed looked very even to me. So round three, I think you can go either way, quite frankly. After the third round, I felt Roach was a little guilty of being a little too passive. He was kind of following Tank around to a degree, just picking and probing when he could, but Tank's movement and his overhand left counter was probably stealing a lot of these moments. There were times when both guys would exchange. Roach would get a little bit of work off, but Tank would come back with his own work. I felt after the third round, Tank started to take control. We're talking about rounds 4, 5, and 6. I felt Tank won those rounds quite frankly. After 6 rounds, I do feel Tank was winning this fight. Probably 4 rounds to 2, I would say. I think that's fair. I'd say Tank was maybe 4-2 up. But it was, a lot of these rounds were very nip and tuck. But I would give the edge to Tank Davis. However, after round 6, I felt Roach completely and utterly took over. In rounds 7 and 8, he just completely outworked Tank. And he was outworking him at mid-range and on the inside. Throwing combinations. He would actually throw with Tank. And the surprising thing was, he was getting to the target first. He was beating Tank to the punch. Most of the times these guys exchanged after round 6, it was Roach who was beating Tank to the punch. In the exchanges, Roach would keep his shape so much better. His balance was so much better. His punches were so much more compact. And he was out hustling Tank in these moments. And in round 7 and 8, Roach was just out hustling Tank. You know, there were some lovely uppercuts that went in, some nice chopping overhand rights, some good left hooks. In fact, the left hook was a punch in which I thought Roach should have been using more, particularly at the end of combinations, because I felt Tank was very much open for that shot, particularly off the right hand. But yeah, round 7 and 8, great work by Roach, man. Lovely inside work, lovely mid-range work, lovely countering, lovely exchanging, lovely composure. Round 9, controversy. Start of round 9. Both guys come out, obviously. Roach lands a jab. Perfectly legit jab, scoring jab. Tank Davis turns his back and literally takes a knee. He takes a knee. The referee begins counting. Tank then goes to his corner and he asks his corner for something. His corner then reaches in and brushes face down with the towel. Basically, so Tank is saying he got something in his eye. The referee actually stops counting for the knockdown, and he doesn't call it a knockdown, despite initially calling it a knockdown. Tank Davis took a knee because of a jab, saying there was something in his eye. And again, he then went to his corner for his corner to, like, rub his face down with a towel, which is illegal, by the way. It's illegal. Unless a referee says you got too much grease on you, rub that shit off, or something like that. The ref never gave him instructions that he could go back to the corner. That was illegal as well. Clear knockdown. There's no debate here. There literally is no debate. Clear knockdown, scoring punch. Disgusting. I mean, the referee did the right thing initially. He called it a knockdown. Then he remembered, oh, I'm refereeing a Tank Davis fight. I have to protect this guy at all costs. Shambolic refereeing by Steve Willis. Who, by the way, is usually good, but all of these refs, man, can seem to be corruptible, and it has to be corruption because this sort of fuckery only occurs in the A side's favour. Do you think if Roach did that, that's getting called a knockdown? Let's be real, it's getting called a knockdown, and we all know that. Shocking from Steve Willis. He should be forced to explain himself to the commission, and his explanation should be made public because that was absolutely shocking. Disgusting. Anyway, after that, the round resumes, and to Tank's credit, he bounces back. He throws a hell of a lot of power shots, and in round 9, he's basically trying to knock out Tank, and he lands some big overhand lefts, some big left uppercuts, some big right hooks, but Roach takes these shots, showing he's got a very good chin. A lot of these shots were very, very flush, but again, to Roach's credit, he didn't like get dwarfed by the occasion. He didn't get dwarfed by the moment. He was throwing back and he was landing. Now in round 9, he was outlanded by Tank, or at least Tank certainly landed the better shots, the harder shots. So round 9 you can give to Tank. However, you shouldn't give it to Tank because it should have been a 10-8 round. It should have been a 10-8 round, in my opinion. Well, not even my opinion, it should have been a 10-8 round. Rounds 10, 11 and 12, I felt Roach swept these rounds. Again, more of the same, out-hustling Tank on the inside, protecting himself quite well with what Tank was throwing back. Again, lovely balance on the inside, lovely head positioning, decent defense on the inside as well, beating Tank to the punch. Round 12, Tank to me looked desperate, still lost the round, tried to land a Hail Mary in round 12, Roach outworked him, outboxed him, out-hustled him. Yeah, man, I mean, for me, this is a stone wall robbery. There is no other conclusion I have in regards to this fight, aside from it's a robbery, and Roach boxed very well. Again, the most impressive thing about Roach for me was just the composure. The composure. The poise. He was never flustered. Even after that knockdown, which he got robbed from, I think a lot of fighters would have lost their head. I think a lot of fighters would have got in their feelings. But Roach didn't. He just went back to the job. And I was very impressed with Roach. I thought he was very good from a technical standpoint. Very good from the basic fundamentals point of view. And he impressed me, I have to say, because going into this fight, I paid it no mind. I had seen Roach fight earlier in his career, and Roach always struck me as one of those guys who was decent, but was never going to do anything at like elite level. Just kind of, I kind of saw Roach as the perennial contender type. Might fight for a couple of world titles, but would probably come up short. But he's come a long way since those days. I mean, I remember this guy getting thoroughly outpointed by Jamel Herring. He's come a long way. And, yeah, I feel for him. I do feel for him because, yeah, he deserved that moment. He deserved that win. He put on a great display, in my opinion. And, you know, Tank's career right now isn't looking too promising. Is this the result of being protected for so long? For taking layup fight after layup fight, and then all of a sudden one guy maybe is better than you expected, and this is the result? Because I underestimated Lamont Roach as well, I have to be honest. I actually felt Frank Martin was better than Lamont Roach, I'll be honest. But he surprised me, I think he surprised Tank, I think he surprised the boxing world. And yeah, again, the only thing I can say in regards to this one is he got robbed. He got robbed. But anyway, credit to Lamont Roach. Has to be a rematch, I guess. We'll see. But anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.